Right guys, Shay here, Uneven Mounts, hope you guys are well. So, it is Tuesday night, which means tomorrow, Wednesday 5th of August, we've got the first test, and there's 3 test match series between England and Pakistan. I cannot wait, it's going to be a fantastic series, very closely fought series as well. So the first test is in Manchester, Old Trafford. We're staying there, the venue of the second and third tests against West Indies, and then we go down to the GS Bowl Southampton for the second and third test. It's reverse of the West Indies series. So yeah, up on screen now is that schedule. You've got there the dates. We've got basically 3 back-to-back test matches. I think it's the 3 tests being played in 20 days, so yeah, just under 3 weeks. And yeah, I think it has all the makings to be an absolute cracker. I think, you know, the first, the West Indies series was more of like, not novelty, but I think obviously it's post-COVID, we were just, all us cricket fans were just desperate for some cricket, you know, but that's kind of dissipated a little bit now, the novelty of it, and we've had obviously the 3 tests against West Indies. We've had obviously 3 ODIs now as well, England vs Ireland, which has been a really great end, as only finished about an hour ago, and I'll do a video on that separately. Obviously the first round, the Bob Willis trophy matches have happened as well. So yeah, we're kind of getting back to a groove, aren't we, now with the cricket? So I'm looking forward to this for a number of reasons, which obviously I get into in this video. Up on screen now, you've got the Test match standings, Test Championship standings, and the table you can see England are 3rd, Pakistan are 5th. So yeah, a lot to play for on this series. Obviously 40 points for a win as a 3 test match series, so we'll see how it goes. I'll make my prediction at the end of the video, as you can see, but I'll start with England first before we get into Pakistan. It's an unchanged squad. As you see on the screen, you've got the squad there. It's a 14-man squad with the 4 reserves. You've got the reserves of James Bracey, Dan Lawrence, Jack Leach, and we have Ben Foakes. So I don't expect anyone barring Jack Leach to possibly make an appearance in the team. You might see Dan Lawrence sneak his way into the 14-man squad, depending on how Zach Crawley goes. But I think the team is quite solid. I do like the look of it now. It's a lot better. Has a much more solid feel to it. I think the batting is less brittle than it was 12 months ago. A lot's been made out of the fact that Pakistan's done really well in England the past 2 tours, 2016-18, with two drawn matches. That's true. I mean, one thing I would say is that England's batting is far better than it was 2 years ago. I mean, that team had Mark Stoneman, David Milan, Johnny Bairstow, all in the top 5, 6. Now you've got obviously Burns, Sibley, Ollie Pope, who's in there as well now. You've got a much more solid top 6. Ben Stokes is on riding the crest of a wave, and he's playing some of his best cricket of his life. He's playing fantastically well. Joe Root isn't the same batsman he was a couple of years ago. I mean, he started to slide, didn't he, really, a couple of years ago, but he's he's still obviously a very, very, very good player. And I'll still say he's a gun player for England. But the top 6 has much more of a stable feel to it, which is great to see, obviously, as an English fan. So I think England can compete in both the batting and the bowling this time. Obviously Josh Butler had a really good time of it as well in 2018, which was ultimately, the 2018 was a great year for him, was it? After Pakistan, India came, he did very well in that series as well. And obviously he's kind of obviously full of confidence at the moment with the 16 made in the 3rd test match against West Indies. So it said the top 7, you could argue, is it was definitely a lot more solid than it was 2 years ago. So that being said, Pakistan's bowling looks a lot more ferocious than it did as well 2 years ago, and I'll get to that in a bit when I cover Pakistan. But I think for England, the main problems they've got, it's good problems to have, but it's the dilemma surrounding the bowling. If Ben Stokes can bowl, Joe Root seemed to think he possibly can, maybe towards the end of the test match, obviously a bit more time to recover. I think they'll play Dominic Bess in this match, and they'll probably go with 3 seamers and bank on Stokes being able to bowl somewhat, a few overs at least. I don't think they'll go with the same kind of makeup they had in that 3rd test with Woakes at 7. This is the thing, I think Broad and Anderson both play I would say Broad's obviously a shoo-in after what happened in this second and third Test match against the West Indies. Obviously, man the series. It was phenomenal, wasn't it? Absolutely incredible. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, Broad plays. Then it's just literally straight away, like, okay, what happens now? I think, personally, it's toss-up between Anderson and Wokes to open the bowling with Broad. Really, my heart says Anderson, my head says Wokes. I mean, how could you drop Chris Wokes after what he's done? He just took a 5 in the third Test match. He bowled very well in the second, third Test match. Got to swing. He got to move laterally numerous occasions. He was a very dangerous bowler on those wickets, and it was tailor-made obviously for him, and we know obviously he's done very well. He does very well in England overall since his debut, so not so great overseas, but the reality is we're not overseas, we're in England. So I wrote that down somewhere, but I think exactly, obviously he was 22 going into the third Test match. He was averaging in England, I think it's a shade under that now. He's a phenomenal bowler with that Duke's ball. It's just Jimmy Anderson, isn't it? It's Jimmy Anderson. Do you drop a guy who's almost nearing 600 Test wickets? Yeah, I mean, the thing is, well, if you play both of them, Anderson, Wokes, Broad, and then Bess, what I don't like about that makeup of that attack is very samey, isn't it? It's very samey. It's like if there's nothing really happening, let's say Babar Azam is in, and I'm talking in. You look around as Joe Root and you think, well, where are we going to get my next wicket from? And there's no real variation. And Sam Curran won't play, so he doesn't have that left arm option there. Does Joe Root? The only thing is express pace. Now, your two options there in the squad, you would say are Archer and Wood. Now, Archer's not had a good time of it, has he? Really, it's been quite well documented. He's averaging. I think he averaged 40 something in this series against West Indies, but he's averaging, I think, 50 over the last 6, 7 Test matches since the end of the Ashes. So what was it? 2, you had the 1 there, 3, and then 6, 5 Test matches with New Zealand, South Africa, and West Indies. Yeah, I mean, he's averaging. Yeah, he's not doing very well at the moment. He's just underperforming a little bit. And what's worrying is for England fans, his pace has been a little bit down. Down to 83, 84, 85 miles an hour, which is not bad, obviously, but I think England probably expect him to bowl kind of high 80s, really, to give him that variation in the bowling attack. And if you're not, then you've kind of got everyone bowling at kind of 81 to 84, 85 miles an hour, right arm over, isn't it? So, yeah, I mean, people have kind of discarded Wood. I'm not sure why, really. I think Mark Wood is still a very good bowler. It was a couple of Test matches ago, in terms of the matches he's played, that he was ripping out top order batsmen. He's and performing very well. So if anything, you think Mark Wood, he's fresh. Obviously, he's missed the last 2 Test matches. He's ready to go. He's fit. You could argue, Broad, Anderson, or Wokes with Wood and then Bess. Just give some variety. I think obviously, with Pakistan, subcontinental batsmen, they could be susceptible to swinging balls. A friend recently said to me, possibly, but they've also got some experience of being exactly. I mean, obviously Babar Azam last year was prolific for Somerset. I know it's T20 cricket, but last time he played here, he got a 68 in his own innings, didn't he? And he looks an absolute class player. And we'll get to him in a bit, but obviously if you've got Wokes or Anderson, you've got a swinging ball already. I just think they might go. I think they might go with Wokes. I mean, if I put on in fact, if you look on screen right now, this is the side that I've gone with for the test. So yeah, I've started with. I'm just going to bring up now as well, just for me to see. So yeah, I mean, I've gone with obviously the top 7 pretty much picked itself, in my opinion. You've got Burns, Sibley, and then you've got you've got Root, and you've got Stokes, and then you've got Pope and Crawley. Obviously Crawley at 3, and then you've got Butler at 7, and then you've got the bowling, and that's where I guess about to make a decision, me personally, I've gone with Wokes, Best, Broad, and Anderson. I know it's about Wood. I just feel like that's going to be the team that will get picked. I'm not saying that should be the team. I think that will be the 11 for England. Me personally, you might think I'm crazy, but I'd be quite tempted to drop Anderson and bring in Wood. No one's really said that. I know people just talk about Archer, but I won't rule out Mark Wood just yet. I mean, Root's kind of intimated that he wants either Archer or Wood there for the express pace option, and I think Mark Wood deserves another chance. Archer played obviously the third test, didn't do so well, did okay in the first test, but I feel like I just feel like maybe Mark Wood doesn't have a chance. So, but I don't think they'll pick him. I think they'll go with Best, Broad, Wokes, and Anderson, with Suxable a few at the end. So yeah, that's kind of my 11 for England. I think it's a solid team, and yeah, I think it's a very, very competitive team. As we move on now to Pakistan, the squad is up on your screen. So yeah, if we just move across to the squad, you've got, obviously they've announced 16-man squad today, and I'll get to my 11 in a short while. I mean, it looks very competitive as well. I think the difference between Pakistan and the West Indies is that Pakistan, what obviously screams out to me is that they have obviously more established, better equipped batsmen. I mean, my team, I'll bring in a bit, but the likes obviously Asad Shafiq, Abid Ali's obviously performing very well at the moment. Asad Ali, the captain, who's been here a couple of times now already, playing the shores, played in last year's over Somerset in the Royal London Cup. So they've got recent experience of England, and then obviously when you add a superstar player in Babar Azam, they've got players there where they won't let England off the hook. I think England, have they got into certain positions with West Indies, both batting and bowling, where they're in kind of a precarious position, and West Indies let them off the hook. I don't think that will happen. I think that if Pakistan get them under the pump, let's say they're 190 for 2, Pakistan, I think they can kick on and make 400, 450. Because they have the batsmen to do so. I mean, Mohammad Rizwan at 6 or 7, if Fawad Alam plays, or Shadab Khan, the middle order's okay. I mean, the kind of the back end of the team, with the 3 seamers, Abbas, Afridi, and Naseem Shah, they're not really, they you could argue they're rabbits really, but the top middle order should have enough runs in them to kind of be able to secure them victories in this Test series. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think Shah Masood will open. In fact, now I think it's just probably a good time to bring up my 11 for this Test match for Pakistan. So as you can see on screen, you've got there. I started with Abid Ali, Shah Masood, Azhar Ali, Babar Azam, Asad Shafiq, Mohammad Rizwan. I put Shadab Khan / Fawad Alam. Depends obviously if Pakistan go with 2 spinners. Obviously, Misbah's mentioned. Misbah Haq has mentioned that they may go with 2 spinners depending on the pitch. How they'll expect it in the morning and make a decision on that. So yeah, I think if they don't play Shadab and just go with Yasir Shah as the lone spinner, I think they'll probably play Fawad Alam, batsman at 6, play Rizwan at 7, and then Yasir Shah at 8. And then you've got Naseem Shah, Shaheen Shah Afridi, Mohammad Abbas. And obviously those 3 look a very fearsome trio, don't they? Naseem Shah, what was he last year? 16 years old. His mother died, and then he obviously bowled, I think, a day later or 2 days later against Australia. Now you think about that: 16 years old, and you're bowling against Australia in Australia, and your mum just passed away. Now I don't know about you, but 16 years old, I wasn't showing nowhere near as many balls this guy was, or this kid was. Quite phenomenal, and that to me shows the kind of person he is, the heart he has, the intestinal fortitude to call in Gorilla Monsoon. He showed a lot of bravery there, but really kind of displayed his character. So I don't think he'll be phased one bit. Obviously, there's no crowds there anyway, but that, to be fair, in England, that can affect both teams, because obviously Pakistan come with a strong set of fans anyway in England, especially, you know, Edgbaston, Headingley, Old Trafford, etc. You know, they come with obviously a strong vocal support. But you know, so Naseem Shah, I think that he will do pretty well. I think obviously he's quick. He's got lovely action. It's smooth. I do worry a bit about his body mechanics, but I won't get into that now, just in terms of longevity. But I think he's a very, very handy bowler. Then you come on to Shaheen Shah Afridi. He looks the business. You know, he's performed very well over the last 12 months. Again, 20 years old. You know, tall, rangy. You know, left armour, good pace, can swing it. You know, him and Shah. It's a cliche, isn't it, really? You think left arm, right arm quick. And you can't help but think, you know, Wasim and Waqar, can you? You just can't. You just can't help think about, you know, Wasim Akram and Waqar Yunus. And it's just brilliant for Pakistan fans. To me, it baffles me. And I just marvel at the fact that Pakistan are able to produce just all the time, able to produce these just, you know, young, raw, fast bowlers. Not all of them work out. You know, look at, you know, Mohammad Sami, for example. But they're just able to just churn out these quicks. I think I'm going to do a video actually on that separately, and probably try and bring, you know, kind of a Pakistani cricket specialist on here as well. Someone who's been, you know, involved heavily and has got a deep interest for the team, you know, to just kind of educate me a little bit, to be honest. I'd love to know the ins and outs of, you know, of why the country, maybe from a historic perspective, is able to produce such wonderful fast bowlers, you know, from yay high pretty much, you know. It is quite fascinating. But yeah, I think so. You know, Shaheen Shah Afridi. I say you've got obviously Naseem Shah, 17 years old. Naseem Shah, and then it's all complemented and just kind of wrapped up beautifully with Mohammad Abbas, isn't it? So Mohammad Abbas obviously did very well last time over here. I don't know exactly. I didn't write it down, the stats. I forgot now. Top of my head, I'll have to pull it down in the description. But obviously he was tantamount to the victory in 2018. One of the test match victories there in the two tests. But obviously he's got a lot of experience as well in England. He did phenomenal for Leicestershire, you know, last season. This year would have seen him play for Nottinghamshire. But obviously with COVID and everything, I don't think he's going to be turning out for them now, which is a shame. He's a very, very, very crafty, canny bowler. Not quick, you know, mid to late 70s, but so was Vernon Philander. But he gets it just in that channel, that corridor of uncertainty. You know, lovely, repeatable action. And when you add that with Naseem Shah, then you've got the left arm, tall, range and legginess of Shaheen Shah Afridi. That's what I'm talking about in terms of variation in your attack. You're Azhar Ali and you're looking around. Then you obviously add the leg spin of Yasir Shah, who's also performed here very well. You know, so he has experience of performing well in England. He's obviously coming off that big 100 as well, World 100 in that, you know, run fest. Was it Brisbane? Was it Adelaide? I can't remember which test. I think it was Adelaide. One got the 300, and I think Labuschagne got 162. You know, it was a bit of a run glutton day that was it, or test that was. But yeah, obviously Yasir Shah obviously can handle the bat as well, which is good. Give it a long handle when he needs to. So yeah, it just said that is what I'm talking about in terms of a varied, you know, bowling attack. You know, right arm pace, left arm, kind of craftiness with bounce, and obviously more seam, you would say, involved there with a Afridi. And then you've got obviously the leg spinner Yasir Shah, and that kind of medium, that genuine medium pace. I wasn't even medium fast, that medium pace, and that kindness, and that crafty operator, you know, there in Mohammad Abbas. That is just such a well-rounded attack, you know, when you think about England. But the reality is, will it take 20 wickets? We'll have to wait and see. You know, they're not facing the same batting lineup as I mentioned before that they had 2 years ago. So I know obviously Pakistan have performed well in 2016, 2018, but it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. I think that's obviously then. I think they're a better team now. Obviously, they're led by Chris Silverwood, not Trevor Bailey, so I believed had a less of emphasis on red ball cricket. He had much of an interest in doing well in the lead up to the World Cup, obviously, and the white ball team, and obviously it paid off. But I think now, since he won the World Cup, there's been a much more emphasis, I think, with Silverwood's appointment to really focus and get the Test team back to where it was a few years ago. So yeah, I think it's been an absolutely cracking series. I said you've obviously seen both my teams. The final thing now to discuss is the prediction. Oh, I'll say this with absolutely no gusto whatsoever, no conviction whatsoever. I'm going to go 2-1 England. I think I said 2-0 against West Indies, and I was wrong. And I will probably be wrong again. But let's hope I still have got the winning team right. I think England might just sneak it, as I think before, because they've also got recent cricket under the belt, long form cricket under the belt. They played obviously the 3 Test matches, just come off that. Pakistan haven't played a Test match since February against Bangladesh, so obviously they're a bit rusty. But they should perform well. And they do perform well normally with the Duke's ball in these conditions. So I think it's going to be a really, really close series. I wonder how Baba gets on. Obviously, he's just a wonderful, wonderful player. He's already played it before. I think like Virat Kohli, when he came in 2014, he came with such amazing fanfare, and he was 25. Azam, I think, is 26. Azam's 26. And Kohli came with such fanfare in 2014 and didn't deliver. Anderson did very well against him in that series. But he came back obviously 4 years later and did perform exceptionally well. I think he was very motivated to kind of make sure he gets the kind of runs in England, that box ticked off. Baba Azam has said made 68 in his 1-run innings so far, Test innings here a couple of years ago. I think Baba's the real deal. I think you could argue that he's actually a better batsman on current form than Joe Root, especially definitely across all 3 formats for sure. So I think a lot's going to hinge on him, but I just don't think it's just about him. I think people saying that, I don't think it's just about him. I think it's, I think Asad Shafiq has been before, Azhar Ali. You've got experienced operators like Safra Ahmed. Obviously, I don't think he'll play necessarily in this Test match, but he may play later on. Yasir Shah's been here, done well. Mohamed Abbas has done well and got, a lot of experience. You've got the 2 raw young bowlers in Afridi and Shah, Naseem Shah. It's just a really well-rounded team. I wonder if you can get at him. I mean, obviously Shan Masood is someone obviously who was Jimmy Anderson's bunny 4 years ago. But over the last, I think, 18 months, I think it was the last 18 months, since December 2018, he's averaging 45. He's done well over the past 12 months. Did pretty well in Australia. He averaged 39 in Australia in those 2 Test matches where they got waxed, by innings in both matches. I mean, he still averaged 39, did okay, Shan Masood is not the same batsman 4 years ago. There's a lot of quality in that batting lineup. It's not just about Babar Azam. He's just kind of like the stardust that sprinkles on top. But I think if he flops, don't think it's a case of that Pakistan are going to lose. No, I don't think so. I think they're going to be a really tough nut to crack for England, But vice versa, I said to you before, I think the batting lineup for England is far stronger than it was 2 years ago, and I think Pakistan are going to realise that when they step out to the field. So yeah, that's it for me, guys. If you agree, if you don't agree, whatever it is, do leave me a comment. I'd really appreciate it. Just to kind of, yay or nay, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever you want to do. Just, some feedback will be very nice for the video. If you enjoyed the content, you'd like it, obviously I've got much more coming. If you did like the video, like it. If you don't, dislike, whichever. But if you can give me a comment and subscribe if you did enjoy the content, that would be wonderful. And hopefully I will see you on the next one. Cheers.